right, well, good day, everybody. We have had our little preliminaries in our group, and we have filled in some of the blanks of some folks that missed it last year. And our
good?
Okay, awesome. So yeah, first thing I want to do is like with his treats here. So there's nothing special about these treats. And in all honesty, I really don't use treats anymore. But when he was a puppy, this was everything. I had a little little cup that I always carried in my backpack, or it fit in my back pocket really easy, just with little dog treats, because I used them for training purposes and rewarding him. And I mean, at the beginning, he wouldn't do anything without a treat. As you can probably imagine, if you've had a dog or done any kind of training with a dog, you could get a dog to do anything if you can give him a treat. And that's at the beginning, that's all I could get him to do. The only way I could get him to sit is I had a treat up in front of him, and he'd sit down. That was everything. Now he just does it automatically. See right there, he knew right when I brought it out he needed to sit, and it came from many hours of training with him. But it was all for this. But now I can get him to the point, now that he's older and now that he's learned, that I can tell him to sit with just my hand, or just tell him to sit without a treat in my hand or anything. And, I used to give him treats getting into the kennel, used to give him treats anytime just to get him to retrieve, get him to come out of his kennel. I always was giving him treats. But he's at the point now where he doesn't need treats. He listens to me because of his love for me. He listens to me because he wants to please me. He listens to me because he knows that's what he's supposed to do. He's not requiring a treat anymore. And that's the same thing in our relationship with the Lord. Like I said, it's so bottom shelf, but man, how many times do we catch ourselves only doing things for Christ when we're getting a little treat? You know what I mean? Like, it's, whether we realize it or not, it's so easy to get caught up and trapped in every decision we make is all based off of something. It's all based off of someone's approval. Someone's watching us, our kids, or our family, our friends, the people at church, our pastor, our Sunday school teachers. Almost everything we do is so easy sometimes that they're the driving force behind what we're doing. They're the treats in our lives. And the only reason we do anything spiritual is to try to get a blessing from God or a blessing in the earth. And we all have our reasons for doing things. I was preaching to the teenagers the other day, what's your reason? And because, like I said, whether we realize it or not, there's a reason for everything. We don't just do things for nothing. We obviously do things without thinking, like we're able to breathe without thinking about it. It's just something that happens automatically. But every decision we make, everywhere we go, everything we say, it's all for a reason. What is that reason? What is that reason? Is it to get something, or is it purely out of our love for Christ? Do we come to church for worship, or do we come for the people that are there? Do we come to church so that way for our love for God and our love to want to worship Him, our love to want to learn more about Him and grow closer to Him? Or are we coming because we know if we don't come, we're going to get a phone call from someone at church that they didn't see us at church, or we know that we're going to get people are going to wonder where we're at. It's so easy to get trapped, and that's why it's so vital that we're reminded that everything should be driven from our love for Him. Why? We love Him because He first loved us. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, whoever believeth in Him should not perish but have everlasting life. Man, the most pure example of love. Jeremiah 31 verse 3, the Bible says, the Lord hath appeared of old unto me, saying, Yea, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Therefore with loving kindness have I drawn thee. And an everlasting love. The love that God has for us is, it's so, and not even close in comparison to anything we could ever imagine or replicate. It's so on another level. Psalms 34 verse 8, O taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the man that trusteth in Him. Man, He's just so good to us. His love for us is just so on a level. The treats that He can give us is so far above any person's approval, any family's approval. And if we're not careful, though, that could be the driving force. He died for us because He loved us. He allowed us to wake up this morning because He loved us. He gives us these blessings because He loved us. But we need to make sure that we're not taking advantage of that. You know, the Bible says in Colossians 3:23, whatsoever you do, do it heartily as unto the Lord, not unto men. That's just, it just happens without us even thinking about it. He's done so much for us. And this is so cool if we can wrap our mind around this. But the Lord has already done so much for us that even if He never ever did another single thing for us, we should still give every single part of our lives to Him for the rest of our lives. Even if He never ever did a single thing for us again, it'd still be worth it. His love, we would never even come close to repaying Him for the love that He has for us. Never even come close to replicating or anything like that. That's just how much He loves us. And going back to that verse, 1 John 4:19, we love Him because He first loved us. That could never, ever show me the love in the grand scheme of things that I have for Him. It is huge, His love for me. But man, I love Him more than He could ever love me. For one, because He's a dog, but two, because I loved Him first. I loved Him first, and that's why He loves me so much. But it's no longer for the treats. It's out of my pure love. It's out of His pure love to want to serve me, want to please me. And that's just so how we should be with the Lord. So need to be reminded of our reasons for doing things, and it's not driven by man's approval or any other treat that the world could offer us. And even any other treat that the Lord could offer us. I mean, if we're solely doing things so the Lord will bless us with money or bless this situation. I remember so many times, I struggle with this every single time I go hunting or fishing or anything. It's like, man, every time I go hunting or fishing, it's like my prayer life gets a whole lot better. When deer season's coming up, my prayer life gets a whole lot better. But that's the wrong mindset to have. That's the wrong mindset. If the only time I'm ever talking to God, or the only time I'm ever really in my devotions is because I want or need something, why? We're not tricking God. He knows that game, and it's just we need to be careful. We need to be reminded. We loved Him because He first loved us. Next thing that got is it is an electric collar, so. Dad does not like this electric collar. He is not a fan of the e-collars. And there is a lot of people in the world that are not a fan of the e-collars. Does any of y'all have any, do you have an e-collar on any of your animals, Miss Sylvia? So are you against the e-collars? No. Okay. Is anyone in here against the e-collars, per se? And depending on the use of this, I am against some uses of this, how it is used. But I'll talk about it in a second. It's different. There's a different purpose in this than what is initial on the thought, the electric collar. So for those of you that don't know what this is for, I see maybe a little bit of confusion right there. What this is for is it has three different modes. There's a beeping mode. I don't know if anyone can hear it. Anyone hear that? So there's a beeping, and then there's a vibration. You won't be able to hear that. It just vibrates. And then, yes, there is a static electricity that will shock him. And I have different modes. I can go stronger or lighter. Obviously, I'm not going to shock him right now by any stretch of imagination. But the purpose on this is different than what one might think. It is not to punish him. Now, a lot of people use an e-collar to punish their animals, punish their dog. It's not listening, and they'll light their tail up. There's barking collars out there. You put it on there, and if they start barking, it will shock them, and that is a corrective measure to get them to stop barking. So there is a purpose of that for punishment, but that's not what my purpose is in using it. So my purpose in for him, it's to protect him. I put this collar on him, and I use this to protect him. Because most of the time when I'm using this, I'm trying to get him in the truck. I'm trying to get him to come to me. If he's distracted by something, or there's another dog, or maybe another person that's scared of the dog that is running around or whatever, and he's just so distracted where he's not listening to me, I use this to protect him, to get his attention if he's not listening to me, to get him to come to me. It's not for punishment. Now, I'm not going to lie and say I've never used it to correct him. I have, but that's not it's all out of protection. It's all out of trying to teach him. It's not... I very rarely shock him because he's learned now. I very rarely. At the beginning, I had to shock him at the beginning to get him to realize what would happen if he didn't listen to me. But I very rarely ever have to shock him. A lot of times I can get away with that beep because he hears the beep and knows what it is. He doesn't want to get shocked. because that's how we do it. And if I'm calling him, he's not listening, I'll beep him, and then I'll vibrate him. And then if he's still not listening, then yes, I will have to get his attention with the static electricity. But it's all to protect him. It's a safety net. Like I said, I don't really have to shock him. It's just mostly for recall, because there's times that if he doesn't listen to me, he could get hurt. He's running into the road. He would never really bite anyone, but it's to help other people not get scared of him. Or there is times that he will get in a little fight with another dog, or if there's another dog that's aggressive, he's not going to back down from him, especially if I'm in the picture. He doesn't want other dogs to get near me, and I don't want him to get hurt by a bigger dog or hurt a smaller dog. So yeah, if I need to get his attention, but it's all to protect him. It's not to punish him. And in our spiritual lives, there's so many similarities to that. We don't have a shock collar on our necks, thank goodness. But you know what? Sometimes I kind of wish we did. Colossians 3:25 says, "But he that doeth wrong shall receive for the wrong which he hath done. And there is no respect of persons." God can, but he doesn't control us. He has all the power in the world to control every single move we make. He's given us a free will. He loves us, and he's given us that free will. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't care about us and doesn't want to protect us. So that collar could be so many different things. He can but doesn't control us, but that doesn't mean he doesn't send us warnings. The beeps in our lives, the family that is trying to help us, trying to give us some advice, our pastor, our Sunday school teachers, our friends. God can use these people in our lives as the beeps, as the warnings in our lives. And then maybe if we're still not listening, he'll send someone else our way, the vibration. He'll send maybe something going on in our lives, something happening to us, not for punishment, but for warning, to help point us in the right direction. Shuts a door in our lives. That's the vibration. There's so many different plethora of things that it could be. And sometimes if we're not careful, it can look like punishments. It can feel like punishments. We're like, God, why are you letting this happen to me? Why are they not agreeing with me? Why did the pastor say this? Why did the teacher say this? Why does everyone seems like they're out to get me? But man, if we're not careful, that could all be warnings for us. And it's all because he loves us. He wants to take care of us. He wants to protect us. He wants to help us. That's what that collar is for with him, is I want to help him. I want to protect him. It's not to punish him. It's for direction in our lives. Galatians 6:7 and that says, "Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap." Now, the thing is even though I have this collar on him, and even though I have this remote, sometimes he's pretty strong-minded. There are times that if he really is not paying attention, he won't care whatever strength I put that collar on. It just doesn't bother him. He'll keep going. And you know what? When that happens, I just keep bumping up the strength until he really feels it. But it's all out of protection. But the thing is it's his choice. If he would have listened to me at the beginning, he wouldn't have gotten to that point. But the thing is that's what we do, the same thing. If we would just listen at the beginning, it won't get to the point where it is going to hurt us. It won't get to the point where we will feel that pain, because God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. We're making those decisions where God does have to correct us. We brought it on ourselves. We can go through all the punishments and problems that come with the sin that we want to. We can go through all of it if we want to, but that's obviously not what God wants for us. I don't want to shock him. God doesn't want to punish us. He doesn't want to chastise us. He doesn't want to let things happen to us to try to show us. But man, he loves us and wants to help us. He wants to direct us. For Isaiah 41:10 says, "Fear thou not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. I will strengthen thee. Yea, I will help thee. Yea, I will hold thee with the right hand of my righteousness." Loves us so much. He wants to help us. Psalms 23 verse 4, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me." And those verses, it all goes back to that one verse, 1 John 4:19. We love him because he first loved us. He will never understand the love for that collar. Now, he does view it a little bit different now. Whenever I bring that collar out, it means we're going to go do something. So he does like it now. Like when I pull it out, he loves it. But he also respects it. because he knows, like I said, I don't ever really have to shock him. He hears that beep or or feels that vibration. He's listening. He's not going anywhere. I don't need to use a leash. He stays right beside me, walks beside me, and if he gets off a little bit, I'll just beep him a little bit and come right back to me. He respects it, but obviously he's an animal. He'll never appreciate it. But we can appreciate those warnings. We are smart enough to say, hey, if we step back and realize, you know what? That is God's will. That is God trying to help me. That is God trying to show me. That advice coming from my family, from my friend, or that door being shut, we can view it as punishments all we want. But man, it all stems from the love that God has for us and Him trying to show us and trying to help us. And we love Him because He first loved us. And then the final thing, this is just such an awesome illustration here, is the place, this platform. You know, Dak is almost 3 now. It's 2.5, somewhere in their range. I'm not exactly remember. Of all the years that I've had him, the thing that the spot, where he's been the most with me, all the hunting trips that we've went on, all the just in the yard, all of that put together, the most spot he's been is on his place. That's the place he's been the most. And 9 times out of 10, where is the place in relation to me? It's right beside me. It's right next to me. It's not 100 yards away or in another room. Now, sometimes it is, but 9 times out of 10, I put his place right next to me. And like I said, Dak, he knows what this place is. For example, right now, if I did not have him on this place, eventually, I guess he'd lay down. But you saw, right, when I let him down, he went over there, was sniffing around, and whatever is going on, he'll go whatever. But I've gotten to the point now where when I say place, he stays there. Now, Sylvia, can you back me on this one?
Yes.
So, can you explain what happened?
He still stayed.
Yeah, so Miss Sylvia came in. He was in here on this place, and she came in and dropped the cookies off. And she's like, "Can you help me get some out of the car?" And I had him on his place. We went out to her car, dropped it in the office, came back around, and where was he at when we came back in? Still in his place. And I was hoping Brother Dennis was here going to be this morning because I could have. He would back me. He's been with me when we're hunting, and he's seen him work, and he knows that he doesn't get off the platform unless I send him or unless I call him off. And man, just what an awesome illustration that is for our relationship with Christ. Because where does God want us? On our place, right next to Him. Psalms 91 verse 1 verse 1. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. He wants us in His shadow. He wants us right there next to Him. Because the thing is I don't have anything on this place where He can get in trouble. I don't have anything on here for Him to rip or chew up, or there's no danger to Him while He's on His place. Now, yeah, if He gets off, like especially when we're hunting, if He jumps off His place and is trying to retrieve a duck or whatever, there's other gunshots going off, there's other things where I'm not watching Him, He's not under my protection, then yeah, He could get hurt. But while He's on His place, there's nothing that can happen to Him. The cool thing is, He can't mess up while He's on His place. There's nothing He could do to mess up. But right when He steps off, right when He gets off and gets off of His place, moves from His place, that's where the problems start. That's where he can get hurt. That's where he can mess up. You know, when we're in our place right next to Christ, we can't mess up. The second we step off, though, that's where the sin will come in. And we can't have sin in our lives and at the same time be in our place right next to Him. Now, we'll never be perfect, obviously. I'm not sitting up here and saying that, well, when we are close to the Lord, that we're making perfect decisions and we'll never mess up. Now, we're going to mess up. But man, it's the desire and that daily walk with Christ, that daily walk with Him, being in our devotions, being in church, praying, and being in that place right next to Him. Man, it's a lot harder for the problems of the world to be there at us. It's a lot harder for us to mess up and for sin to creep back into our lives when we're in that place right next to Him. You know, it's I love this illustration so much because, like I said, this is all the joy that he brings me, all the things that we've done together. The most fun is when he is right here next to me, because right here he knows he can't go anywhere. He loves when I get pet right here behind his ears. This is where he gets treats. Like this is his spot, and he's having the most fun in his life when I bring this place out. Like I said, when we walked out of the house this morning, and when I walked out of the house and had this on my shoulder, he just went ballistic because he knows that means we're going somewhere, and that's where he has the most fun. And when we're in our place next to God, that's where we're going to enjoy life the most. That's where we're going to be the most blessed. That's where everything works out. It's because I love him. I have a place for him. God loves us, and he has a place for us. And the last thing is one that I just want to talk about before we shut things down is this. I don't need to give him treats for him to love me. I don't need to put that collar on him for him to listen to me. I don't need to have this place for him to protect him. I don't need any of those things. I want to. I want to reward him. I want to give him treats. I want to put that collar on him to protect him. I want to keep him safe. I want to have a place for him to be at so that way he does listen to me. So that way he does succeed in our hunts. I want that for him. God doesn't need us to serve him. He doesn't need us to listen to his instructions, listen to his warning. He doesn't need us to be in our place right next to him. He wants that for us. He's not going to force us to be there. And it's not, God he's all powerful. He doesn't need anything. He could have anything that he wants. It's so out of his undeniable and unparalleled love for us, his desire for that for us. He wants that for us. Doesn't need it. It's not required. He wants it for us. Just because of just his undeniable, unbelievable love for us. He wants us to serve him unconditionally, whether we're getting a treat or a blessing or not. He wants us to listen to him when he calls us. He doesn't want to have to get to the point of the static electricity. He wants us near him in our place, not to step off. He wants us under his shadow. He wants us to love him. And it all stems back from 1 John 4:19. We love him because he first loved us. And man, what an incredible love that is. So like I said, there's nothing so super deep this morning. It's just a good reminder for us. When you go home tonight in bed, just next time you're doing your prayers and talking to God and in your devotions, just sometimes we need to sit back and just think about and appreciate just the unbelievable amount of love that he has for us, and how just everything stems from that love, and just how desperately he wants that to be reciprocated, how desperately he wants us to love him back. And I was telling the teenagers the other day, like I was telling you, I was talking about the love of God. I love my wife. I love her. She is the biggest. God couldn't have blessed me with anything better or more than what she has been. And that has been, under salvation, there's nothing he could do better than him giving me my wife. And it's hard for me to understand. I don't think it's possible for us to understand how much deeper and more the love that God has for us. And that's why I hit on it so hard with our teenagers, and why I try to make that such a big part of my walk with Christ, because once we have that mindset and understand and can do the best we can to wrap our head around how much love he has for us, everything else just falls into place, because you want to do those things for Him. You want to be in church. You want to be in His Word. You want to grow closer to Him. You want to serve Him. You want to share His Word. You want to further His kingdom because, man, that love that He has is just, it's just unbelievable. It's hard to understand. And so hopefully that was a good reminder for you this morning. And maybe next time you see your dog or your animal, you'll start thinking about some of those parallels and that relationship you have with Him and that relationship that you have with the Lord. And I know it's been a reminder for me every single time I bring out the place and do these just different things. And God has used Him in my life, in all honesty, as a reminder, as a very good reminder for my relationship with Him. I'm very thankful for Him, but it just makes me so much more thankful for the Lord. Let's pray, and then I guess we shall be dismissed. Dear God, thank you for this good day you've given us.